Hello everyone, my name is Gary Wagner, otherwise known as Gary the Google Guy, and I'd like to welcome you to our Staying Productive While Working Remotely session. With our work life being turned upside down and changing at the drop of a dime, and most of us having to work remotely these days, I thought it would be helpful to give you some of the tips and lessons I've learned as a work from home employee. Just a little bit on my background. I was a classroom school teacher for almost 20 years with a very structured workday, and then transitioned to the position I am in now. For the past 4 years, I've spent the majority of my time getting work done from my home. So with that, let's look at some of the things that we're going to be covering in today's session. We're going to be speaking to defining your workspace, setting ground rules for your space, routines, work hours, time management tips, some communication tips. Then we're going to jump into a live demonstration showing you some things that are going to help you out with Gmail, using Google Keep, using chat, some calendar tips, using Google Meet, and some Drive and Docs tips. Okay, first up, let's talk about that dedicated workspace, if possible. Obvious choices would be a basement area, a guest bedroom, or an office. Hopefully you've got an area something like this that you can have to close yourself away, preferably with a door. I get that not everyone has the same options for a workspace, but if you can find a space that you can close away those distractions or noise, the better it will be for you. If you don't have that space, then a certain table or chair. Just find a place that you can routinely go for a meeting or to get work done on a moment's notice. And keep in mind, try not to pick that comfy sofa or chair that you have in front of the TV. Make it a little bit more professional or a little bit more business-like. That way you'll kind of get into that same frame of mind. Next, be aware of your background surroundings, especially if you're video conferencing. Remember to check what's going to be showing on camera before you enter into the video conference. People will be seeing a peek into your life and personality by what they see on the walls or what may be lying on a table in view. Also, double check your lighting just to make sure that your face will be seen clearly, especially on those video conference calls. Next, let's set some ground rules with family members or possibly roommates in your space. Hours you're going to do the most work. If you are a morning person and like to get the majority of work done then say that from 8 to 11 a.m. is to be your time with the least amount of interruptions, if at all possible. Speaking of interruptions, rules of engagement. What I mean by this is, if you need to be interrupted, then how? A knock on the door, a wave through the window, if you're on a video call, phone call, how are people going to get your attention to interrupt you to speak to you? Next up, help them understand what you will be doing. For example, data entry, video conferencing, and so on. Sometimes if your family or roommates understand what you are doing for work the majority of time, it will help them know to leave you alone during that time or how to interact with you. If you need to focus on work and you are constantly being spoken to, you're not going to be very productive. Next, be aware of family Wi-Fi usage and bandwidth. You may need to set a standard, as in, if you need to be on video conference calls, that your family will put their devices on airplane mode or pause the streaming TV apps just to kind of cut down on that usage so you don't get interrupted with your video conference calls. Alright, let's move on. Next up, let's talk about creating a regular routine. Maintain the alarm clock to a degree. You may be able to rely on your body clock, but try to get up around that same time that you're used to getting up, whether it's your animals waking you up, your kids waking you up, or whatever time that you're used to getting up to go to work. Now granted, you're not going to have that drive into work, but you still need to kind of get into that little bit of a routine just in case you have early video conference calls It just makes life that much easier for you to adapt as opposed to sleeping in till 10 o'clock in the morning every morning and then you have a 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock video call. It just kind of throws you out of whack sometimes. Next, shower, eat, coffee, whatever routine that you are typically used to doing. If you wake up and your brain is in a fog and coffee doesn't do it, showers will help wake up the brain, just FYI. But get into that routine that you're typically used to doing before work. If you get up, you immediately have your coffee, then you shower, you eat, or whatever, try to maintain that. Next, exercise. If you have a routine for exercise, try to keep that. If not, try to make it a point that at some point in each day you will get some type of exercise. It'll keep the brain alert and it will make you feel more energized, even if it's something as just simple as stepping outside for a quick little walk. But if you're used to doing your exercise routine in the morning, try to adhere to that. Lunchtime, same. Evening after work, same. Exercise is one of the biggest things that we can stress, because if you're used to just being in the house all day and you don't get the exercise, you'll feel it and you'll know it. Probably the best piece of advice that I could give anybody working from home is don't stay in your pajamas all day. You would be amazed at what a difference this one piece makes. Get those shorts out, the jeans on, sweats, if that's not your PJs by the way, with a t-shirt or a sweatshirt, and you will feel much more awake and focused. If applicable, set time aside for the kids to do schoolwork with them. Some school districts have shut down, some school districts are still maintaining and accessing kids for turning in work. If so, dedicate an hour or so to be focused with them and no work. So try to block off that time. They will appreciate it. You'll feel more accomplished with them, and everybody's going to be happier because that work's going to get done and they will feel recognized. Okay, now for a toughie. Maintain regular work hours? Kind of. What I mean by that is try to maintain your typical workday hours. And I'm not saying that means 9 to 5. Nobody sprints through their work from morning to evening. Your motivation will naturally ebb and flow throughout the day. When you're working from home, however, it's all the more important to know when those ebbs and flows will take place and plan your schedule around it. To capitalize on your most productive periods, save your harder tasks for when you know you'll be in the right headspace for them. Use slower points of the day to knock out the easier logistical tasks that are also on your plate. Once again, if you're most productive in the morning, then maintain that set of hours as much as possible each day. And then design your days around your work. Commit to getting your work done no matter what. All right, now for the tough ones. Take breaks, but not too many. Time management is a very key piece to having success as a work from home employee. Set simple goals. I personally set reminders on my Google Calendar to get things done by certain times of the day. It's great because it also syncs with my phone. So if I'm on a dog walk and 15 minutes from now I'm supposed to run a report, I'm supposed to make a phone call or whatever it may be, my phone will ping me. It will let me know with those reminders that you have something coming up. So try to set those goals of by 1 o'clock you're going to get this done, 3 o'clock you're going to get this done, as opposed to looking at a whole list of things to do in an entire day and trying to pick those off one at a time. Small goals, simple goals, you'll be more successful. Next, get out of your office space now and then. Try not to stay in there for extended periods of time. Things will get stale and you will get worn out mentally real quick. Take advantage of the fact that you work from home, that you can go outside for a few minutes, even if it's just stepping out on the driveway or going for a quick walk down to the sidewalk, to the mailbox, things of that nature. If you can, take a walk. If you have a pet, dog, go for a dog walk, even if it's just around the block real quick. Get that little bit of fresh air, sunlight, daylight. Get out of your office space. Try not to stay there for those extended periods of time though. Also, don't watch too much TV or play on social media and do your gaming. It's great to take those little breaks, but don't get caught into a binge session for watching TV, or all of a sudden you're on one of those social media platforms and it's an hour that's gone. Or if you get into gaming, which I personally do, sometimes time slips away from you and you realize that, oh my gosh, I've been playing for 2 hours and it didn't feel like that. So just be aware of that. Next, the hardest piece in the world is don't get lazy. And what I mean by that is procrastination is a killer to a work from home employee. First, lower anxiety is a beautiful thing. The more we procrastinate and the longer we wait to get started with important things, the more anxiety and stress we have. Doing work is never easy, and if you wait until tomorrow, you will only feel more anxious about getting started. If you overcome procrastination and take immediate action, you will get things done. You remove the anxiety from that task before it gets to you. Another bonus, higher self-discipline. Research shows that procrastination is not only a time management problem, it's one of the biggest reasons we procrastinate is low self-discipline. The main benefit of beating procrastination is that you automatically increase your self-discipline. And ultimately, the biggest piece that you're going to get out of this is better work. People who don't procrastinate accomplish better work. When you work with less stress, anxiety, and high self-discipline, you give yourself the chance to do better work. Next, communicate as much as possible. Not everybody works from home in the same way. Some of us put our nose to the grind. We work 3 or 4 hours straight before we even look up from our computer or get up out of our desk. Some need frequent breaks, which is fine. Stand up, sit down, do a quick stretch, whatever it may be. But not everybody will work the same from home. For some, this is an extremely stressful time. Dealing with pets, family, being around while working, maybe other distractions, let alone anything that's going on personally with sicknesses and things of that nature, can put an awful lot of stress on people. They may need that extra little forgiveness piece when working from home. Different positions, an example, managers and workers in the field, communicate differently. You'll need to figure out how do you communicate with them now that you're not able to communicate with them face to face or from the field. If you're in the field and you have someone that is constantly communicating with the office, they may be on the phone. They may be via a chat platform or whatever it may be. Managers typically will work with their coworkers in a way that they communicate, whether it is chat, whether it is verbal, but they get the communication out to people that they are delegating those tasks to. Also, understand, one of the lost things that we have when we work from home is those opportunities for the small, short chats that we have from work that we would typically have when we do things of getting up out of our chair, standing up, walking around, going to the bathroom, or whatever it may be. I used to be in an environment where I could get up and go get a cup of coffee throughout the day and have those brief chats with coworkers about things. You can still have those chats with people, but you'll have to do it through chat itself. Just remember to be respectful and check if they're there and not on a video call or in a meeting before you start going on what you need or what you want to talk about. Ultimately, we must find a balance between focusing on what we control, ourselves, and what we don't control, everything else. That's not an easy process, but look at it as a challenge. Find a way to be productive from home and be mindful of your surroundings. And while you're at home, don't forget to enjoy it too. You're in control. You decide what to do next. The next thing I'd like to do is go into our live demonstration. So what I'd like to speak about during this time are those things in G Suite that can help you along the way working from home and communicating with people as much as possible. So we are going to start off here in Google Mail. And probably one of the first things that I get questions about is, oh dear God, now that I'm at home, I am getting so many more emails. Because we are used to getting those chats verbally, well, now you're getting them as emails and such. So finding emails, now that you're getting more of them, is going to be a little bit more helpful for you here. So let's start off with that because that's a very common question. Personally, I got two tools for you. One, advanced search. So up at the very top of your screen, you're going to see this little search box with an arrow to the right side of it. If you click on that little arrow, it will drop down your advanced search criteria box for Google Mail. And keep in mind, Google Mail was not Google Mail first. Google was a search engine first, so it built the platform around that. So very powerful. Don't be afraid to take advantage of it. A couple of the fields that I'll point out because I think they're really important, that they're very overlooked, are going to be down near the bottom of this. The date within. Most of us know when we're looking for an email, you know approximately when you received it, sent it out, and so on. So change that up to be more of a smaller parameter of when you're trying to find those emails. Next, right below that, you have search. It was going to be, by default, it's going to look at everything active in your account, not including spam, not including trash. So if you need to broaden that spectrum, click on where it says all mail, and in the middle of that menu you will see an option to change that over to mail, spam, and trash. That will really help open up that search window. The next piece that I can give you is fairly new and most people have kind of overlooked it. Let's say, for example, I need to do a search for all emails from a coworker, Gary. So I'm going to select that email from here, and keep in mind you'll see previous emails below that maybe that you're looking for. You can just click on those and go to it. I'm going to do just a broad search. Now what's recently been added is this new search criteria piece called search chips, and it's right underneath that search box. You'll see that I've got the search box at the top and then right below that some additional boxes, and I can start limiting what my results are here. So I want to exclude everything that was a chat with Gary, and I only want to look for those emails. And keep in mind right now when I'm at 60 emails, almost 59, I'm going to eliminate all those that may have an attachment, or I should say has an attachment. So now we're down to 20 emails with just those two selections. And you know what? I remember that file being a PDF. I select that and now I'm down to 6. So we went from over 60 emails down to 6 with just a couple of clicks of a button. So that will be a really good starting point to help you find your emails just that little bit quicker. The next piece of advice in Gmail that I can give you is your labeling, and that's one of the best ways to organize your emails. But keep in mind your labels are meant to be seen on the emails. You can take your email label to the left, you can drag and drop it onto the email and see the label on it. Personally, the best thing that I can give you is two things for the types of names to create for your labels. One, create actions needed type labels. So what is the action you have to take on that email? Such as, if we look to the left there, I've got my generic action needed, but then I have a follow-up label, and with that follow-up I can schedule a meeting, follow up with my boss, follow up with a client, follow up with a vendor. Below that I have my reply. I will need to reply to this email with deliverables, maybe with a form to fill out, with an update, or maybe with a contract to review and look at. And then lastly, down at the bottom there, the request. I want to request some additional information, some documentation, a PO, or a signature. So creating those actions will kind of keep you in order of what you need to get done when, and help limit the amount of times you have to reread your emails. Probably the most important piece of advice that I can give you in regards to labels, I personally think that every single person using Google Mail should create a do label like I have to the left, DUE as a parent, and then underneath that sublabels for today, the end of the week, end of the month, And then if you are someone that runs off of either dates, maybe like in accounting, they run off of quarters or specific deadlines for things, you have by a specific date. What's beautiful about this is it kind of piggybacks on each other in terms of the utilization of. So let's say, for example, I need to get something done with this email at the very top, and I need to get it done by today. Now here's where the cool part is. One, I can see I got to get some action taken on this email today. Two, if you're a list person, do you want to see everything that you have to knock out by the end of your day? Go to the left, click on that today label, and it will pull up all of the emails that you need to knock out something in today. End of the week, woohoo, I'm all caught up, and so on and so forth. So this is a huge piece in terms of being able to keep you organized, especially now that you're going to get more emails. So I highly recommend creating those labels, email labels in that way. Next up, make Google do some work for you. Create filters. Select an email that you get a lot of. Go to the top and click on the three dots. In that three dots, you'll see filter messages like these. This is similar to a rule, and you can add additional information in this advanced search box here. And then in the lower right, you can click on Create Filter. From there, set your rules. Me personally, I use two different types of filters 99% of the time with my work account. I do apply the label. I apply a label to just about everything these days. And then I will do one that is apply the label and skip the inbox. And I typically use that for Google updates, newsletters, vendor stuff. I call it fluff and buff. It's kind of like the junk mail of your email that you want to read when you want to read it. You'll get to it. Not necessarily just delete it, but I don't have time for it right now. My client is important. So I use those kind of filters to help with organizing the email that way. So rules, filters are a beautiful thing. They can save you a lot of time, and Google will automatically put those labels on your emails as they come into your account. If you have it skip the inbox, if you look to the left side of our screen, you'll see that the labels turn bold, and then there'll be a number to the right of it for how many are unread under that label. Another cool piece that you can utilize, and you can do it right from here, snooze. Use snooze as an email reminder. So let's say, for example, with this Google Calendar one at the top, I need to get something done with it, but not right now, later on in my day. I can go to the right side and click on that hover action. All the way to the right, you'll see snooze. It allows you to put this to rest until a specific date and time that you want it to pop back up at the top of your inbox. Kind of like your alarm clock for your bed. You can have an alarm clock for your email. Snooze until you pick your date and time. It will disappear from your inbox view, and then at that specific date and time, it will pop back up to the top of your inbox, reminding you to do something and deal with it. Another piece that I can give you that is a really helpful time saver from here is to go to your compose box, click. In that compose box, click on the word to. It's going to take you to your contacts. I highly recommend creating project, team, or department groups in your email contacts. You can use those groups throughout your account, whether it is for creating calendar invites, sharing files out in Drive and so on, or email blasts like we're going to do from here. Here's what you're going to do. Select the people, whether it's from your personal contacts or from your directory, that you are wanting in that team, department, group, whatever it may be. Click Manage Labels, click Create Label. And we'll just say this is going to be my department A. Save. Now you'll have that as a group to insert as a recipient list. So let's say, for example, we close this out. I need to email my team, my department, whomever. I can start typing that group name, and you'll see that with one click, it adds all of those contacts. So it's a great time saver. You don't have to search for contacts. And working from home, I am constantly emailing different groups of people for things that are a part of a project. Every time we get a new project, there is a project manager, an implementation specialist, there is the boss that needs to be on it, there is the lead contact for the project on the vendor or client side of things. Those types of things, I create groups for all of those. And then instead of having to do that each time, it's a one-click deal. So I love that piece. Another piece that is coming soon, it's not available yet, however, it is coming soon, shortly, like in the next couple of weeks from what I hear, is being able to create multiple signatures in email. Down at the bottom of your screen, you are going to see a pencil icon next to my $sign there. It's going to allow you to be able to create and work with multiple signatures. So if that's something of interest to you, you will go into your general settings page, the very first page of settings in Mail, go down to your signature field and you should see a new button. You'll be able to click on that and then it will be like picking from your different templates of which signature you'd like to use. So I'm excited about that because that can be very handy. Another brand new piece that has recently just been added and announced is in the upper right corner of my screen, and that is the availability of being able to either start or join a meeting from Google Meet here. So you don't have to go into your Google Meet screens or from Calendar and that kind of thing. You can either start or join a meeting right from here. You'll see that in the upper right hand corner of our screen. All right, next up, one of the best kept secrets that I think Google has is the ability to work with Google Keep. Keep is a great time saver. It's a management piece. In the upper right corner, you'll see your 9-dot grid, your app launcher. You'll see a gold icon with a light bulb. Open that up and work with it. You may also already have it on your phone. That will sync up with your account here, or personal accounts. You can manage most of those from your phone as well as from your web view. But Google Keep is a great program. It's a note-keeping program and then some. It allows you to type in basic pieces of information you want to keep as a sticky note type of deal. You can copy and paste information in there. You can create to-do lists like I have, and then some. So let's show you the and then some piece. First, to the left, you'll see I have a project startup template. I have created a template that allows me to copy this entire note without having to recreate it from scratch every time. And I've got it as a to-do list. So I can click on the 3 dots in the bottom right, and then you'll see it will give me an option of make a copy. So once I make a copy, instead of just project startup template, I'll erase the word template, put my client name in front of it, and then from there I can work with that note. Speaking of, what's really cool about Google Keep is that with your notes, you have the ability to do multiple things with it. First, you can color code it. So if you want to color code things, maybe according to project or maybe the importance mark, you can do that. You can also share these things out with your coworkers. Now here's where it's really cool. With my project startup template, I share this out with a couple of people that are on my new project. Why would I do that? Well, because both of us are going to be, or all of us are going to be in meetings maybe at different times. You can share these notes out just like a Drive file, and then when they complete something in their view, they'll be able to click and say, okay, I did that. I now know, okay, Paul has done that. I don't need to call Paul or ask Paul or to do it myself. So that tick off list is a beautiful thing. Sharing it out with multiple people is a beautiful thing. Think of it this way. You can also create something maybe on a personal note, like a grocery list. I share out my grocery list with my spouse. When she is at the store getting something, I can actually go into the fridge or the pantry, add a couple of things, and then when she has that up on her phone, she'll see it in real time of, oh yeah, don't forget to get this or that. So it's a really interactive piece that you can use with your coworkers without having to interrupt them with chats, without having to interrupt them with video calls or phone calls. So it's a really wonderful thing here. And another really cool piece, you can create multiple notes and then you can go to the left and you can group them. So you can group these things all according to project or task or whatever it may be. You can group them, which I find is a beautiful thing. All right, why do I bring Google Keep up? Here's why. If I go back to Mail, If we look in Calendar, in Drive, in Docs, Sheets, and Slides, to the far right side, you are going to see the Google Keep icon. So from one screen, you can work with your mail. We can work with Google Keep. You can work with, and we're coming up to this, Google Calendar. So you can interact with your calendar of what's going on here. And then we have Google Meet in the upper right hand corner, and the next thing I want to speak to before we get to Meet is right below this, and that is Chat. Chat is a beautiful piece when you're working from home. Those chats that you're used to having verbally at work, standing up at the coffee maker, over your cubicle wall, whatever it may be, you can have these chats from here. So let's look at our Google Chat. First off, adding people to your chat if you haven't used it before, real quick and easy. Click the plus symbol to the far right side there, and it will show you all of your contacts, and you can select from there. It'll send them an invite, which most likely they'll select and say yes and accept. You'll see them in your list and you're ready to go. Probably one of the most useful tools that I can give you in chat is the little arrow to the right of your profile icon. Brings up a settings box. In that settings box at the very top, you can share your status. I'm sharing my screen teaching. People will see that underneath my name in their chat list. So they know, hey, I can't interrupt Gary right now because he's teaching, he's screen sharing. I don't want my chat to pop up in the screen and interrupt what he's doing. So you can also do whatever you want in this box. You're on a call, in a video conference, away from the keyboard, on a dog walk, whatever it may be. Change your status quite often, routinely, and people will know kind of what's going on, when they can interrupt you without kind of disturbing maybe your flow or what you're doing. So it's a great way to be able to have that communication without actually speaking and talking to people. So I really like that little status piece. It's a wonderful piece to let people know. It's like looking at the bottom of our screen in the right corner there. I can see trainer 1 has already gone to lunch. My trainer 2 is currently out in the field doing something. So my availability to speak with the trainer 2 person probably not going to be on the high end of being able to get a hold of them right now. So it's a wonderful thing to be able to communicate without having to. Having those quick chats, if you are going to chat with people, it's real easy to do. You click on their name and it pops that chat box up and out. If you are going to chat people, I personally recommend asking if they're there before you start typing in everything that you want to type in. So I will do either a quick hello, see if they respond, UT as in the letter U, letter T, like you there. You can also do are you there? That way, if they're in a video conference call, you're not going to interrupt them if they're busy. You will find out if they're actually at their keyboard doing something, because now that you're working from home, you may not be there 24/7 to be able to answer those chats right away, which, by the way, you can also get the chat app for your phone. And if you are on that dog walk, you can answer your app chats. That will sync up with your account here, which is kind of cool. So just kind of be aware of that and respectful, as opposed to, hey, did you see what so-and-so did and all this? Maybe they were screen sharing and then that chat just popped up in front of a client, a vendor, or another coworker. So just kind of be aware of that. Another cool piece that a lot of people don't realize that you can do from here is, let's say, for example, I need to talk to Gary about this client, and you know what? I'm just sick of typing. This is just too much typing to try and explain this. In the upper left corner, you'll see a video camera icon. You can click on that and have an instantaneous video conference with them right here, right now. So that's a great piece to be able to use there as well. Okay, let's move on from that. Let's talk about Google Calendar. So when it comes to Google Calendar, you have a multitude of things that you can do, obviously. However, I want to give you some quick things that I think will help you when it comes to working from home. First off, let's get into Google Calendar from here. One of the most beneficial things that I think you can do is, if you are not working solo, meaning you're not kind of in your own island for your job, you work with a team, a project group, department, I would recommend creating a new project, team, department type of a calendar. You can do that really quickly in the lower left corner of the screen, plus symbol. Click on that plus symbol, you'll see the create new calendar option. From there, we'll just give this one the department calendar. Click create, and then we're looking at the bottom of our screen for when it says completed and we want to configure. The first thing you'll do from there is go to share with specific people. Add your people that are a part of that team or department. Give them the level of permission that you want them to have. If you are wanting your team or department people to be able to modify this calendar, meaning you want them to be able to add events to it or maybe update things, and you can create calendars for whatever you want, whether it is milestones, things that you want to have meeting wise, or whatever it may be. Create it, share it with the team, reminders for things. I mean, there's a number of different things that you can do with that, and I highly recommend doing the make changes to events at a minimum, and then everybody on that team or department can modify that calendar if needed. Send it out, and then everybody will have access to it. If you need to put something on that calendar for the team and group, it's real simple to do from your calendar. You'll click to create a meeting just like you would any other time. Give it a title. Down at the bottom, you're going to switch it over from your personal calendar to the department calendar. Save, and just that quickly you've added a department meeting for 10 o'clock tomorrow morning. Like I said, you can also use this for those things that are reminders, milestones, you need to get this done by this, that kind of a thing. And oh, you know what? Speaking of reminders, one more thing. Google Keep. If you have a note, I forgot to do this, my bad. Lower left corner, you can actually set this up to get reminders via Google Calendar for your different notes that you may have in Google Keep. So that's a really cool piece to add there. Then if we look to the lower left, our reminders, if we turn those on, it will show up on our calendar this way. So I use reminders for just about everything these days with my work days. I love reminders because nobody sees them, even though they may see your details of your calendar, like what events and whatnot that you have on there. They're not going to see your reminders. So you'll see, like on Fridays, I have to make sure that by 3:30 p.m. I run my TPS reports, and don't forget to use that new cover sheet when I send it over. It's a wonderful thing. Nobody sees these, and I can use this as my goals through my day of those tasks to be able to complete. They're really easy to create if they're turned on like mine are to the left right now. You can click somewhere, time-wise. You can say, I want to call the vet, and I need to make this a reminder, and I want to do it at 12 p.m. today. You can make your reminders repeating just like you would a repeating event. You can make it an all-day event, but personally I don't use that. I like to have a specific time that these things are done, and then click save. And just that fast, you've created a reminder. Here's the cool part. When you complete your reminders, you can mark it as being done, and you can also sync this up with your phone like I said. It strikes it through and puts it at the top of the day that you completed it. You can always go back to it and say, you know what, I didn't do that, so let's mark this as not being done. Go back to that and actually edit that to put it for a specific time. I don't want it all day. I want this to be for the 24th, and we'll do that at 11 a.m. And then you can reinstall those to your calendar. So it's a beautiful thing. I love it. Another cool piece that you can do with Google Calendar is create video conference meetings through Google Meet. If we click and we want to create a meeting, we can say Meet Meeting. From this screen, you can click on the Add Rooms, Location, or Conferencing, and then click the Add Google Meet Video Conferencing. With one click, it will automatically generate the link for you to have people join. It will also provide the dial-in information if they want to do the dial-in from the phone thing. Once again, Meet syncs up with your phone. If you are going to do it from the other screen, meaning the details page, you create this stuff and maybe you forgot to add it here, or I'll just turn this off from here. We go to more options. In the details page to the upper left middle of our screen, I should say just left middle, it will say add Google Meet video conferencing. We can select that, and once again it will generate all of that information for people to be able to join into. So I love this piece. Now, just a quick FYI, if you ever see a Google Meet that you're supposed to be a part of and it's asking for the code is those 10 letters that you see on the very end of it. So you see that I have this RRE. That's what you'd want to cut and paste or copy and paste. So when we go back to mail and we see the join a meeting and it's asking for that code, that is what you would want to just do a quick paste of into that area, and then you'll be able to get into your meeting. So that is that little code piece that you may need at another time. But I like the idea of being able to create future meetings. It's a wonderful way to schedule them. All right, speaking of Google Meet, let's talk about Google Meet for a few minutes here. We can do Google Meet a couple of different ways. As I just showed you from a calendar invite, we could click on that link. We could also click on it from our mail screen now. So in the upper right corner, we can click Start a Meeting and it will go right into our screen. I highly recommend for people, please, before you immediately turn your video camera off, which you can do down at the very bottom, before you turn it off, no one is seeing you right now. I always recommend mute your microphone first. Leave your camera on. And you're going to see me here in just a minute. Double check your background. So look at the surroundings that you have around you. Make sure that you don't have either anything that you don't want people to see or embarrassing or food, plates laying out, those kinds of things. But this is kind of your chance to preview. What are people going to see? Then you can say, you know what, I don't want them to see that side of my bookcase over there. So then you take your laptop and you move it around. Maybe the lighting isn't very good that's on your face. You can tilt your monitor up and down that little bit. If you're sitting with your laptop on your lap, if you don't have the proper lighting or your face is too big, too small, move that laptop down or up closer to you on your lap, your angle of your monitor just that little bit, and you'd be amazed at what some of those differences will make. That will save you having to do it once you're in the meeting. So do it before you get into the meeting because you can do that right from here. One of the biggest misconceptions about people using Google Meet is that you have to join by phone. If you are on a laptop, you do not necessarily need to join by phone. That join by phone option is typically for those people that are still using tower computers, because there's no microphone or speakers that are close to you or around you. Those computers, towers, are usually like underneath the desk and that kind of a thing. When you're using a laptop, you can just use the computer's audio, so you don't even have to use that part that we see on the right side of our screen where it says join and use a phone for audio. You don't need to use that. You can just click on the join now and it will take you right into your meeting. Speaking of, let's jump into the meeting. I want to show you a couple of things there. So I'm just going to turn my camera off now and let's get into the join now piece. If you have not added anybody, it will give you all of the information for you to be able to copy and paste. You can pop this into a chat box, into an email, or whatever you need to do. Text it to someone. But once you're in the meeting, you're going to have a couple of things that you can do. If you are having an audio problem, such as, let me just minimize this just a little bit, in the lower right hand corner of the screen, you're going to see 3 dots. You can go to your settings. If you need to, you can change the microphone and speaker defaults. Typically it will go to whatever is presented off of your hard drive of your laptop, but if you've got something plugged in like I have my Logitech headset, you can change it over to that. You can even test it. Earbuds, same kind of thing. Also, you can go to video and you can change the bandwidth of your video. So you can change it from maybe high resolution to medium, that kind of a thing, if you're finding that that is a strain on your internet. So that's an important piece to understand and know what is there right away. Probably one of the most common things that's being asked for right now is the ability to see everybody's faces and more than just a couple. If we look in the bottom right corner, there's the 3 dots once again. You can go into change layout. Now in this change layout, you're going to see something a little different than what used to be there. And that is the option of Sidebar. Used to be one of the options where you would see the 4 or 5 people that are on the call, but you wouldn't be able to see any more than that. What's brand new is from some of those other video conference platforms is the tiled view. This will allow you to see up to 16 people at a time face to face. I think personally any more than that, you're probably not going to see much of a screen on a laptop in terms of it's going to be a tiny little box. So you can have up to 16 tiles showing in one time. So that is brand new. That was just turned on for everybody as of yesterday. Okay, and then lastly, one of the best tips that I can give you, or some of the best tips that I can give you, is while you're on the call. You can mute yourself, you can turn off your camera. If you're kind of paranoid about the camera thing, you can put a sticky note over the camera lens if you want to, just to kind of double check yourself to make sure that you don't accidentally show yourself in your pajamas and whatnot. You can text chat with people that are on the call. In the upper right hand corner you'll see the chat box, so you can actually do a text chat here. A couple of good things that you can do with the text piece: not only if you're having audio difficulty, you can say, hey, I can't hear anybody, or whatever it may be going on, I'm going to restart my computer. You can send the message that way. But also remember, your Google Drive files are URL links, so you can actually ping the link to people for them to jump into a file there, or you can also share your screen. If you would like to share your screen from here, lower right corner it will give you the present now option. You can do your entire screen, which means if you have multiple tabs open, you'd be able to jump from tab to tab and everybody would be able to see that. A window would only be one of those tabs. Brand new as of just yesterday, what was released as well, is a Chrome tab. So for example, I'm on a call with a whole bunch of people right now. I want them to see this YouTube video. I can actually have that tab open to YouTube, pull up that video and select this a Chrome tab, and then they can see exactly what I'm going to see with that video. So that is another brand new resource as well. So a couple of different things that you can do there. Other things as tips: silence your cell phone. Nobody likes hearing the cell phones go off on a regular basis, especially if you're one of those people that gets all those alerts for your different media platforms and games and things that you're on. Also, put pets in another room or outside if possible. Put those dogs out there if you can. That'll reduce barking. Right now I have a 17-month-old puppy that if he does not see me, he will bark his head off. However, I would not like to share that with you while I'm trying to teach you on a call like we are today. So I have actually put him in another room in his little playpen. And that's just something that you can do to be courteous and kind of help yourself out with your own sanity. Alright, so I think that's enough for meat, so let's get out of this. And now let's talk about the big one, and that is going to be Google Drive. So let's get into Google Drive and give you some tips and tricks there. First off, remember what we said: Google Drive files and folders are all URLs. Therefore, when you go into one, so let me just open up one here. When you are in a file, up at the very top of the tab, you will see the URL bar. That is a unique URL to that document. So if you've got certain documents that you want to access really quickly, bookmark them just like you would a web page, because essentially they are web pages. So in the upper part of the screen, in the upper right of my screen, you will see in that URL bar a star. You can just click and bookmark that. You can give it its own name. You can organize it into your folders. In your Chrome tab, let me just take that off and remove. You will see in the Chrome menu, the 3 dots in the upper right, your bookmarks. You can see your bookmark manager and go to your different bookmarks from here. You can organize them in folders and so on. That way, the next time that you need to access this file, we can click the plus symbol. At the top underneath the URL bar, we'll see all of our bookmarks that we want to access quickly. I need to pull this training schedule up like now. Click, and with that one click, it pulls up that file for me. So that's a really handy tool to do things for maybe specific files that are templates, and it's all about reducing the amount of clicks to access those particular files. Also, here is another quick tip for you. Being that this is a web page, you can also click the three dots, and in the More Tools option, and I'm on a Windows machine, so Macs might be a little different here. Underneath More Tools, you will see the option to create shortcut, and you can actually add a shortcut to this file from your desktop. So that's a beautiful thing. If you want to just open this file up right from your desktop view, you can even pin those down at the bottom of your screen in that toolbar. Alright, so let's get out of those. Next up, while you're in your My Drive, another way to stay organized is using the new tool that's available for everyone, and that is at the top left of our screen, the Priority page. This will allow you to access all of your files in one nice neat place according to project, department, team, task, whatever it may be. So it works off the premise of workspaces and shortcuts. So let's show you how this works. I'm going to go down to the middle of our screen where it says workspaces and create one. And let's just create this as a test 1, 2, 3. We'll click on create. And it's going to pull up a box saying, okay, get started by adding files. And you can show up to 25 files in one place. Beautiful. I'm going to click on Star Wars timesheet because that's one that we just worked with, and I'm going to add that. So now we've got a link to that. It's not making a copy of it, it's not moving it here, it's copying the URL or the link to it. Less clicks to find these files. So let me show you what I mean by that. I'm going to click on Done because I can always add files to that later on. So if we look to the left, you'll see that we have My Drive, Shared Drives, and Shared with Me. How many clicks do you think it would take me to access a file in each of those areas that is buried in at least one folder? Think about that for a minute. Now let's show you how many clicks we can access those files by using the priority page. So we go to My Drive, and let's say, you know what, there is this digital book that I want to add as a link. Right click on it, add to Workspace, and we'll go into test 1, 2, 3. Go to Shared Drives. I'm going to go into my Shared Drive folder, into a folder. Keep in mind how many clicks it's taken us to get there. To get this file, add to Workspace. Project ABC test 1, 2, 3 is what we want. Then I've got this file that a coworker has created and shared with me. Right click, add to Workspace, test 1, 2, 3. Now I come into my priority page. Underneath my test 1, 2, 3 to the far right corner of our screen in the bottom there are our files that we added links to. But now I can access them in all one place, which is a beautiful thing. So you've got that quick organization piece, that quick access piece right from here, and I gotta be admitting here, I love it. So I use the priority page all the time to stay organized and less clicks to get my files no matter where they are. Now let me tell you about one of the coolest pieces in Google Drive these days, and that is the ability to be able to work with Microsoft files without having Microsoft. So I used to be a teacher. I used to have a tower computer at work, meaning I couldn't bring that computer home. The computer at school had Microsoft Office, Word, Excel, so on. If I wanted to, I couldn't work on those files at home. However, you can now work on those Microsoft files at home through Drive without the needing to convert those files to Google format and without the need of Microsoft Office. Let me show you. So I'm going to find a file here that we've already got that is in Microsoft Word. The Team Action Plan, that works. That's a Microsoft Word file. I don't have Microsoft Office on this computer, just FYI. So I can right click on this. If the file is stored in Drive, I can go to Open With. Google Docs is a program. It's not going to open it as a Google Doc. It's going to open it up with that program. So we open up that file in Microsoft format. We are going to look in the upper left corner of the screen once it's completed loading and look at the title. Just to the right of the title, you will see a blue balloon that says .docx. It's Microsoft format, but but we're working with it in Google Drive. Here's the nice part. I don't like the color of Team Action Plan, or I need to add text. I need to edit this file in some way, shape, or form. I am going to edit this by changing the color of that to blue. Up at the top middle, all changes are automatically saved in Google Drive. I just edited a Microsoft file while leaving it in Microsoft when not having Microsoft Office on this computer. This is really cool. This is like a game changer for a lot of people. In addition to that, not only do I not have to convert it, but I can now go to the share button in the upper right and I can share this out with coworkers, have them jump into this file, and I can see them in the file in real time, just like a Google Drive file, or Doc Sheets Slides file, we should say. So just like a Google format file, you can see them in the file and work with them and so on. Another couple of cool tools while I'm in here to show you is to communicate with people. They don't have to be in the document. You can always use the comment feature. Commenting is great in Google because you can do a blanket, just anybody that has access to the file type of a comment. You can also, let me just click on this one here, we can also do a plus mention. So I can either do plus symbol and then pick from a list of my contacts, or I can say, you know what, Gary really needs to do this. I can start typing Gary as a contact and it will pull his name up, select, and then I can even assign this to someone if there is maybe a to-do to work with. So the commenting piece, wonderful. You can also go to the top and you will see this little icon that has the comments. You'll be able to see a list of all those comments. You can also get notifications for those comments and so on there. So it's a wonderful piece to be able to use in Google Docs, in Google Drive files, work with those comments. It's a great way of communicating without people having to be in the file itself. The last piece about Google Drive is, let me just jump back to Drive here for a minute, is the availability of offline access. And being that a lot of people are being stressed with their Wi-Fi bandwidth, FYI, you've got a couple of options. Gear icon, upper right, go to Settings. In Settings, you'll see the offline option. Make sure you select that. That will allow you to work with your files and edit them even if you're offline. Next up, you can also utilize underneath that same gear icon, Get Drive for desktop or Drive file stream. It allows you to be able to work with all of your files from your hard drive that are stored in Google Drive if Wi-Fi is either spotty, stressed, or goes out. You can work with your files offline and then sync up all of those changes when you need to, when you reconnect. Okay, last couple things here. Let's talk about your mobile devices. On your mobile devices, and I can't really show anything on my screen because I'm on the web, but to speak to it, in regards to mobile devices, you can sync up your entire G Suite account with a mobile device, tablet, phones, whatever. I would recommend that if you want to sync up your entire suite, to download the specific apps for those different applications. Gmail, don't use a third party or your native device mail. Get the Gmail app. You can do much more with it. Google Keep, Google Meet, Hangouts, and remember, Hangouts is the chat feature that you can sync up with. There is also a Google Chat application that you can use that will sync between the two. Google Calendar, Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides applications. If you just use the Drive application, it will not allow you to edit and modify and work with your Docs, Sheets, and Slides files as well as it possibly could, just FYI. Okay? So it's a really important piece to understand there, that if you have the specific applications, you will have much more power to be able to edit and work with those different files in the way that you need to. Okay? And thank you, John, for that. I'm getting a quick note there that if you want to work with your mobile applications, you'll have to use Mobile Iron to access the G Suite. Okay? So just FYI there. But I did want to touch upon mobile devices because a lot of times, for example, I'm out on a dog walk, I get my different pings of, hey, have a quick look at this, and I don't have to wait to get back to my computer to do it. I can do it while I'm walking or sitting in the park, letting the dogs run around and whatnot. So just wanted to bring up that couple of things about your mobile devices. All right, I know we are a little past the hour here, but I do want to give you an opportunity to ask any questions. If you have any, I will do my best to answer those. I'll stay on here for an extra few minutes if you would like to. So you can find your GoToWebinar interface. You can find the little, it looks like a balloon like from a cartoon where someone's speaking. Click on that and then you should be able to type in your questions if you have any questions there. So I'm going to take a gulp of water while I wait for your questions, and then we'll get to answering those. All right, well, it doesn't look like I am getting any questions at the moment, so I'll give you another moment here. But for those of you that would like to exit the webinar, just as a quick heads up, here's a couple of extra links for you as resources. You can go to YouTube and type in Tempest Nova trainings, and you can get all the latest and greatest features, videos, how-tos, all from there. Also, you can visit our G Suite support site that has a number of resources there, not just for working from home, tips and tricks, cheat sheets, training videos, the whole nine there. So you can jot these down and you can visit those in your free time and have a looky-loo. And hopefully some of those will be helpful as resources for you. So with that, it doesn't look like I'm getting any more questions, so I am going to go ahead and conclude our webinar for today. Oh, I have one more question here. How do you have your Google Meet on the right side of your screen? Oh, great question. Okay, so let me just get out of this real quick. So that Google Meet piece is a brand new feature. If you are using right side chat as an advanced feature, it will be in the upper right corner of your screen. If you do not have the right side chat feature turned on, it will show up on the lower left corner of your screen, and it will be above your chat area there. So you may need to enable your chat with the little icons like you see in the bottom right of my screen. That will pop that up for you. But I have the right side chat advanced setting turned on. That's why mine is in the upper right of the screen there. Okay. All right, well, it doesn't look like I'm getting any other questions. So with that, everyone, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, rest of your week. Get outside. I currently am up in Longmont, so I'm not too far away from you, and that sun is just, I am heading out anytime now. So yes, Jenna, it will say meet. It may not be in your domain yet. I usually get things really quick once Google releases them. Yours may take a day or two to get there, but it should be rolling out. If you don't see it, I would recommend that you go into your Chrome menu in the upper right corner. Those three dots underneath more tools, clear your browsing data, and as in cookies and cache. That will reset your screen and it may pop up after that. But it depends on the rollout that your domain has. So it may take a couple of days for it to get there, but that has recently just been rolled out, like I said, a couple days ago now. So it will eventually be there for you. Just FYI. Okay. All right, everyone. So everyone have a great rest of your day. Get outside, get some fresh air. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, rest of your week. Hang in there. We're almost there, everyone. So try to be patient with this. Stay safe, be aware, and until we meet again another day, another time, another class, which we have another class tomorrow for collaboration. This is Gary the Google Guy signing off. Thank you, everyone, and have a great rest of your day. Goodbye now.